Standing at the front of our mat. Let's take a moment to just rock forward and back. So feel our weight shift forward into the balls of our feet, into our heels. We don't have to actually lift them, just kind of feel your weight move forward and back. Notice how it feels. And then shift side to side. Noticing how it feels in our feet, our ankles, our knees, our hips. Noticing if we rotate. And then I want you to notice as you shift side to side, is there one side that you move very easily towards versus the other side? The other side just kind of seems like it has maybe a little more resistance. And the other side, one side just seems like it flows really easy, like it takes no effort at all. Just notice if that's you. And then come back to center. Inhale, sweep our hands up. Exhale, bend our knees, hinge forward from our hips and fold. Let our head hang, neck and shoulders relax. Take a moment to shake our heads, yes. Bringing our heads to center, shake our heads no. And can bring our heads back to center. Let's grab a hold of our blocks, take them at a level 3 on each side of our feet, and then step our right foot back into lunge. Pressing our heel down towards the floor. Could be a nice long spine. And try not to sink a whole lot of weight into the blocks. Just allow your hands to rest there lightly. And then push off through our back foot, step forward, step our left foot back. Keeping our front knee over the top of our ankle. Our back heel should be hovering above the mat. And then push off through our back foot, step forward, step our right foot back again. And then I want you to keep your upper body exactly where it is. Bend our right knee and drive it down towards the floor, or think about just tucking it in underneath you so that you can stretch out your toes. Front knee stays right over the top of our ankle, so we're not moving our front leg. And our spine stays neutral. So that's where the beauty of the blocks comes in, is that it makes this a little more accessible through our spine. And press back, push off, and step forward. Left foot steps back, front knee over the top of our ankle. Let our back heel soften down. So we're working on a little bit of mobility through that back ankle. Then keeping our front knee right where it is, bend our back knee and tuck it in underneath us so that we can stretch from our big toe specifically all the way down to our heel. And then press our heel back, push off, and step forward. Right foot steps back, and make your stance a little bit smaller this time. And then push off and come back to center. Left foot steps back, push off and come to center. Right foot back. We're just finding some movement, stepping forward and back. It's okay if you round your low back a little bit. Just make sure you're moving with core strength. Move at your own pace. Just finding movement. Notice how your front leg engages when you step forward. And step forward and let's fold at the front of our mat. Bending our knees, inhale, rise all the way up. Hands come together in front of our heart. Releasing our hands down, let's step back to the center of our mat. And then from the center of our mat, let's shift our weight to our left foot by just lifting our right heel. Tap our front foot forward, lift our knee up, tap it back. Lift up, tap it forward, lift up, tap it back. So we're focusing on the lift, the rotation, and the planting of our feet lightly. Make sure this feels okay for the back of our hips. If it doesn't, make your stance smaller. Don't lift your knee up as high. Opening and closing our hip. Let's find one more time. Tapping back, tapping forward, and then bring it underneath us. And then other foot, tap forward, lift up, tap back. And again, we're just looking for movement. That's all we're doing. Warming up our hip joint. And come back to center. Step forward to the front of our mat. Make sure our blocks are handy. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold. Letting our upper body hang. Taking a moment to pause and let go. Bending our knees, we're going to step our right foot back to a halfway stance. So we're going to set up for pyramid pose. As we find pyramid pose, back heel should be able to touch the ground firmly. Now we're going to take the block from our left hand and we're going to place it underneath our left foot. So we're going to lift our toes, heel's going to stay on the ground. We're going to take the block and kind of wedge it in underneath the balls of our foot so that our toes and the balls of our foot can stay rested on the block. Then take the other block, place it in front of you. You can have it at a level 3, 2, 1, whatever feels right for you. Then square up your hips. Let your tailbone point to the back center of your mat. Our front leg is moving towards a straight leg position. That doesn't mean that it's straight. It's just going that way. Feeling our breath long, slow, and I'm bringing a sense of ease to our body. Begin to round our back if it feels good for us. Slowly coming back up. We're going to take the block that we had underneath our right hand and place it off to the side. Release the block under our left foot and then step forward to the front of our mat. Letting our upper body hang. Taking a moment to check in with our left side compared to our right. And then hands coming back to our blocks. Start at a level 3 just to get set up. Step our left foot back, pyramid. So heel's going to come to the floor, half the distance of our feet from a lunge. Drive our right heel into the floor, lift our right toes, take our right block, slide it underneath our foot. So it will be at an angle. It's not going to be flat. And then take your left block in front of you, starting at a high height. So level 3 if possible. Then allow your body to move into a sense of alignment. So tailbone pointing back. Tailbone lifting up to the ceiling. Weight balanced in both feet. Feel the subtleties of our low back moving into a neutral position, even though it may not start that way. Lower down when and if it feels good for you. Starting by lowering your block. And coming back up to your highest block. And then we're going to take that block back to the left hand, release the block from our right foot, let our foot come down to the floor, and then push off to step forward. Folding and relaxing. Bending our knees, rise all the way up. Hands come together in front of our heart. Releasing our hands to our side. We're going to find a little bit of movement in our feet. As we find a foundation through our feet, the four corners of our feet are going to stay solid. Wiggle our toes around, make sure that our knees are softly bent, and then we feel stable through our hips all the way up to our head. Then lift all of our toes up off the floor. And lower them down. Lift them all up again. And lower them down. One more time, lift all of our toes. And lower them down. Lift just our big toes. Lower our big toes down, lift all our little toes. Lower all our little toes, lift our big toes. Lower our big toes, lift all our little toes. Lower our little toes, lift all of our toes up. Put just our big toes down. Lift our big toes, put all our little toes down. Lift all of our toes, put just our big toes down. Lift our big toes, put all our little toes down. Lift all of our toes. One more time. Push just our big toes down. Lift our big toes, put all our little toes down. Lift all of our toes, hold. And then release our toes and wiggle our toes around. Just finding a little bit of movement. And then inhale, sweep our hands up. Exhale, fold. Bending our knees, release them down to the mat one at a time. And then rock our hips side to side. And again, I want you to notice if your hips move easily one direction versus the other. Then I want you to only move in the direction that's easy. So we're working with our nervous system and allowing it to build a better pathway from our mind to our hips. Then I want you to move just once in the direction that doesn't move as easy. And then go back to the easy side. We're going to repeat this pattern, staying on the easy side, randomly throwing in movement to the other side that's not as easy. Let's take it just once to the not so easy side. And then go back to the easy side. Checking in with our breath. And then take just once to the not so easy side. And I want you to only move in a way that it's easy when you move to the not so easy side. So as you move through it, notice where you begin to find some resistance. Stop when you get to that spot. Don't try to push further. And then you're going back to the easy side. One more time, moving only through a range of motion that feels comfortable, easy. Take it to the other side and then take it back to the easy side. Then come to center, curl our toes under. Heels are pointed up to the ceiling. We're going to sink our hips back towards our heels. Walk our hands back just to a place where we can keep a neutral spine and our arms can stay straight. Our chest can lift. Then with our hips closed, so the front of our hips are reaching towards our thighs, our tailbones lifting up, we begin to move in a little bit of a cow pose, closing the hips even further. We're going to find a cat-cow through the upper part of our spine. Bringing our spine back to neutral. Walk our hands forward. Release the tops of our feet. We're going to extend our right leg out to the side. Toes point forward, so we're resting on the inside of our foot. Let our leg walk away until our right hip is about the same height as our left. At least that's our goal. Doesn't mean we're going to get there today. Let our tailbone lift up to the ceiling. Let our heart begin to extend forward as we find cow pose again. Bringing our spine to neutral, hike our right hip in, and then we're going to take our right knee back behind us and cross it behind our left. Walk our hands back towards our knees, sweep our feet over to the opposite side, and then keep walking our hands back. Lift our tailbone up, let our belly soften towards the floor. If you'd like to grab a seat on a block, you can. If you want to just keep working your hips back, you can. Make sure that you're honoring your body. Walking our hands forward. So if you're seated on a block or on the floor, push off with your right hand behind you. Use your left hand to kind of walk yourself forward, and then unwind your legs and bring your knees to hip width apart again. Shifting our weight to our right side, extend our left leg out to the side. Resting on the inside of our foot. And our foot is about in line with our hip. So notice if you could draw it forward to where it stays in. Most of us will reach our foot back, so that's why I say forward. And then once you arrive in this position with your left hip about the same height as your right, I want you to let your tailbone lift up and your belly soften to the floor. Let it move that way naturally on its own. So try not to force it, just allow it to naturally want to go that way. And slowly bring our spines to neutral. Hike our left hip in. So you're dragging your left foot. Then bring your left leg back and cross it behind your right leg. Walk your hands over to the right. Sweep your feet forward. Then draw your hips back. Slowly walk our hands forward. Unwinding our legs. And then from here, let's take an all fours position, then start to walk our knees back so that we come to kneeling plank pose. Bend our elbows, lower our chest all the way down. Inhale, lift our chest, turn our gaze forward, hug our elbows in tight. Exhale, lower down. Tap the mat with our nose. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower down. Tap. Inhale, rise up. As you continue to flow, I want you to notice the parts of your back that are the easiest to move into, and you'll naturally go there because it's our body's wisdom to do so. But then I want you to think about the areas that feel slightly weak. And if you're not finding that, lift your hands and it'll show up immediately. Lifting our hands as we lift our head and our chest. Keep our elbows hugged in tight. Then I want you to keep your hands down and focus on engaging to those areas that are a little more challenging. And then sliding our hands forward underneath our forehead. Let our head relax onto our hands, letting the back of our body completely soften. Letting our hips relax. Lifting our feet up off the floor, let our heels soften towards our hips. And as long as there's no discomfort in this particular position, you can begin to rock your feet side to side, keeping your feet moving in the same direction. Bringing our feet back to center. Let's release our feet down to the floor. And then take our hands to the side of our chest, hug our bellies in, press up and back to child's pose. Rising up, crawl forward, flip over onto our backs, and bring our blocks with us. As we come onto our backs, I want you to take one of your blocks, and I want you to take the mid-size, so the kind of the level 2 side, place it between our legs, just above the knees, kind of maybe at the bottom third of our upper leg. Then walk our feet forward so that we have the block resting between our legs. And I want you to let your legs completely relax. So it's okay if your block has not got a firm grip. It should be in a place where it's not going to fall anywhere. Then I want you to turn your toes up. So feel that internal rotation of your upper thigh and let it be subtle. Don't let it be anything big, shouldn't take any big effort. Then I want you to flex your feet a little bit. And again, not a big effort. Drive our heels into the floor and imagine that you're going to bend your knees. And you should feel this work all the way up to our hips. Mainly the back of our hips. Holding and breathing. Noticing if we drive a little bit more through one leg versus the other, and it's okay if we do. Don't try to change it, just let it be. And then slowly relax our effort in our legs. This is not a big effort. Think about 20 to 30% of your effort. And then again, press your heels into the floor. And then imagine that you're bending your knees. You're trying to drag your feet in towards your hips. And relax. And again, pressing our heels into the floor, pulling our heels back as if we were going to bend our knees. And relax. And then actively press our heels into the floor, pull them back as if you're bending your knees, and then gently squeeze the block. Soften our grip on the block, then start to slowly let go through our legs. We're going to do that 2 more times, moving in that order. Pressing our heels, bending our knees a little bit, start to squeeze the block. Let go of the block, and then start to relax our legs, especially our knees and our heels. One more time, pressing our heels, bending our knees, gently squeeze the block. And releasing the block. Soften our legs, let our feet roll out. And then lift the block up off the floor. We're going to take the block, place one behind each knee, and then let our palms face up as we relax into Shavasana. Drawing our awareness back to our bodies. Bending our knees. Let's roll over to our right side. Press ourselves up. Find our way back to a comfortable seat. Rising up tall through our spine, finding ourselves aligned. Notice where we're still hanging on to tension and if we can let that go. Bringing our hands together in front of our heart, let's seal in all that we found in this practice today. Reminding ourselves to let go of judgment, expectation, and competition with ourselves. Giving ourselves this permission to find a little bit of acceptance for where we are and knowing that it won't be permanent and that we're continuing to ebb and flow through our bodies as the environment around us does as well. Take that as a gift we can use the rest of our day and our weekend to come. Namaste.